Just wanted to take a quick minute to tell you how you can get almost $250 worth of free bonuses that will teach you how to improve your desire, how to have more libido, how to get the right tests done to figure out the root causes of low libido from a physical perspective. This is for men and women. And you do this by pre-ordering a copy of my book. My book is coming out in late fall. Projected date is November 1st. And in my book, we're going to talk about all sorts of physical root causes for low libido, how to help pelvic pain, how to help erectile dysfunction, how to help vaginal dryness, how to do this together in your partnerships, and so much more. And when you pre-order a copy, I am giving you almost $250 worth of bonuses right away for your support. So to get that, you simply go to wanttowantIt.com or look in the show notes for that direct link. So wanttowantIt.com, the name of my book. Now back to our show. Hey everybody, we're talking today about how to be intimate still with having a couple teenagers in the house. And it's hard enough with kids of all different ages, and teenagers certainly have their own type of challenge. I'm board certified sexologist, Dr. Diane. If you have not met me yet, this is something, the teenagers in the house is something that I personally know a lot about. My partner has 2 teenagers, 3 kids, and so I'm in stepmom role with them. And what we have found is that there are like pockets, right? So one of the biggest things I would look for with having teenagers in the house, and they might have friends in and out of the house, coming and going, sports, excitement, video games, being loud, and all those things. But we have found there's certain pockets where oftentimes in the middle of the day, oftentimes on the weekend, it's like late afternoon before dinner where things have calmed down, they've gone out and they've done their sports, and maybe they're tired, maybe they're in their rooms playing video games, taking a nap. And we've seen these pockets where like house goes a little more relatively quiet, or at least where they are entertained. So what we have done is we have used this time to basically say, hey, we are going to go take a nap, or we turn on the shower and say we are in the shower. Sometimes we are in the shower, sometimes we're not. But what you're looking for, one of the advice I give you is like, find gaps in the day. Oftentimes it's better during the day than at night, because at night I have found that there's more activities. Maybe you're picking them up from things. Maybe they're at a friend's house and you get the call saying they want to come home early. Whatever it is, there's things that tend to distract. So see if you can find some time during the day where it's consistently like, okay, they don't need a ride. And you can even set like a parameter around like, hey, between 4 to 5 every Saturday, that's my nap time. That is our nap time. If you need something during that time, I am not available. And when you set those parameters, you're allowing yourself to have certain boundaries that then they can start building their social life around too. So for example, if they're like, they wanted to get together with a friend, now they know like this nap time is your priority. This is what's important to you. And if they need a ride, if they're not driving yet, then they need to work around you and your time. So the more we can, I think, have these calendars, right, where we say, this is my time, this is what we do. And of course, with this, there is a tendency to need to be more quiet, which can actually be pretty hot. I've actually found this to be like, while I love the idea and I love like making noise and breathing, and there's so much that can happen with bringing more excitement to the experience, and like Tantra, for example, we do use a lot of breath and sound to enhance the experience. That being said, sometimes that idea of being quiet can be huge. I also am going to put in the notes here a link for the Lexus. The Lexus is a stimulator. It's an external stimulator for women that's very, very tiny. So when you're having any sort of penetrative sex, it actually sits on the outside of the woman, and it can give her a vibration sensation, which I encourage and which you guys have heard me talk about. But one of the things I love about the Lexus is like from a standpoint of vibration, it is a lot more teenage safe because it's incredibly quiet. right? And a lot of the other toys on the market, one of the things people run into is like, well, they do make enough noise where it's like there's concern around like, hey, I want to bring this toy in. And is it going to be, too loud? And so I have found that the Lexus generally is pretty quiet enough on its own. And if you want to add another layer of security, of course, you can turn on, music, that sort of thing. If you're taking a nap, then maybe you're turning on waterfalls or whatever, like something that's sensual, but still is like, okay, this makes sense. They would listen to waterfalls during their nap time. But the more you can say, and this is where like having a plan does tend to be If you haven't taken a minute yet to go to wanttowantIt.com to get your bonuses, almost $250 worth of free bonuses for pre-ordering my book, I recommend you do that now. We're going to go through so many reasons and so many solutions to fixing low libido for both men and women. It is action-packed with solutions from supplements to diet to lifestyle to lab tests you should talk to your doctor about to physical routines you can change. So many things designed to help support estrogen and testosterone and circulation and erectile dysfunction, vaginal dryness, so much more. So if you go to wanttowantIt.com, you can find that book for pre-order, and you can also then take advantage of the almost $250 worth of bonuses I am giving away for pre-order that will not be available for long. Now let's get back to our episode. About so many times on this channel, scheduling sex is something that I know a lot of people shy away from. But remember, like when we don't put this as a priority, like we can schedule it and you can still be spontaneous. Like some people think, well, if I schedule it, then it's not going to be spontaneous. Like the whole point of scheduling in part is to make sure that you are guaranteed or close to guaranteed to get this intimate time. You can still have your one day a week where you're like, okay, this is our moment, and then still work in spontaneous moments all the time. But by actually making it a priority and saying, hey, 4 to 5 on Saturday, mom and dad are going and taking a nap, it's nap time, you're basically then putting yourself in a position where 4 to 5, you have your intimate moment. And at least if like everything gets so busy and there's no more time throughout the week, you are at least connecting intimately at least once a week, which is kind of that spot where we see in studies being linked to relationship longevity and happiness and satisfaction. And I think more is definitely a wonderful thing. I am a proponent of more, and I work to have more in my own life and encourage people to have more in theirs. But we do want to consider that, hey, if you do this and you get this, you find this sweet spot of time, that is like the guarantee. Because if we don't have that kind of like, hey, we're setting time aside, one of the problems is like spontaneity is like waiting for that perfect moment where everything kind of comes together and the kids are fine and you're fine and everything is good and you have the energy and you're not overwhelmed. And, the reality is with like kids and career, that can be very difficult to make all of that happen. So I'm going to put that link to that very quiet hum in the show notes below so you guys have it. The other thing that can happen that can help with is like really narrowing that climax gap. Because sometimes if we don't have as much time, and hopefully an hour is a lovely amount of time, right? Plenty of time to get her aroused, plenty of time to start with a sensual massage, get in her body, and, and really enjoy that experience and go deep and, hopefully get a little quick, like cuddle, I love you in afterwards. But when we add something like the Lexus, this hum toy, that is allowing us then to sometimes even bring that climax gap closer together for men and women. So I would love, I think like one of my goals here with doing these types of conversations and having this channel is really to help normalize these conversations around sex and intimacy in ways that are like really supportive for people, but also really respectful and really professional, right? It's not the channel you're going to find porn, for example. It's not what I do. There's plenty of people that do that if that's like what you want to explore. But what I really am working to do here is create a safe space for people to get support, but still always maintaining professionality. And so I would really encourage you guys, if you have teenagers or even young kids at home, and you have found any tips or tricks around like, okay, you do this is how you're able to maintain intimacy, I would really love to hear from you in the comments. And I know other people would too, because not only would it help me, and I want to, share my tips, but I want to know if any of you guys have tips in this regard too, because I think the more we can strategize on, okay, here's how we can be successful and here's what works, the more we can really come together as community and say, these are a lot of different techniques that you could try and bring into your life to have intimacy and closeness in the middle of, the chaos of teenagers and raising kids. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope you will participate and put stuff in the comments. Check below the show notes for that hum device I told you about, and I'll see you again soon.